In the spring of 2019, thousands of people marched on the streets of Hong Kong in response to an extradition law by the Chinese government. The proposed bill, once passed, would allow transfers of criminal suspects from Hong Kong to mainland China for prosecution. But the critics believe this would expose Hong Kong to China's justice system and further degrade its autonomy. What began as a sit-in demonstration at the government headquarters on 15 March 2019 soon snowballed into one of the largest protests in the history of Hong Kong. As the protests became more prominent, hundreds were arrested from the violent scene. The bill was later suspended.
100%信任香港人。
But it further intensified the demonstration since most protesters demanded a complete withdrawal. Soon, the police began cracking down on protesters. At least 320 people died and hundreds were injured. But in April 2020, the coronavirus outbreak hit the world.
Worldwide this morning, growing concern over a growing health crisis.
And the protests simmered. On 21st May 2020, after a year since the pro-democracy protests stormed Hong Kong, China imposed a national security law. It is officially known as the Law of People's Republic of China on Safeguarding National Security in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. The law further contained the dissent, and dozens of opposition leaders, journalists, and activists were put behind bars. The law kept the pro-democracy protest off the streets. Hong Kong became a British colony in 1841. But on the midnight of 1st July 1997, Britain handed over it to China. And China agreed to maintain existing structures of government and economy under the principle of one country, two systems. China influence drastically increased after the passage of Hong Kong National Security Law in 2020. The law reduces Hong Kong's judicial autonomy and makes it easier to punish dissenters. It criminalizes secession, subversion, and collusion with foreign forces and carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. Immediately, more than 150 people were arrested by Hong Kong's National Security Department. Universities and colleges were at the forefront of the pro-democracy protests. The law has cracked down on educational institutions investigating teachers on charges of radicalizing students. According to the city education secretary, around 100 teachers and staffers were arrested on charges of anti-government protests. Many teachers have even left the territory as they feel threatened by the national security law. The law has also cracked down on media outlets. The arrest of Jimmy Lai, a media tycoon who founded the now defunct newspaper Apple Daily, critical of Chinese policies, has sent shocks among the media fraternity. It has also shuttered down media outlet Stand News on alleged charges of sedition. According to Reporters Without Borders, as many as 127 journalists are behind bars in China and Hong Kong. In November 2020, Hong Kong disqualified 4 opposition members of its legislature for endangering national security. While legislators in the past have been disqualified, it is for the first time that it didn't go through the courts. The government even arrested high-profile activists like Joshua Wong, Agnes Chow, and Ivan Lam. The law has largely helped China to contain the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong. Many Hong Kongers are relieved by the return of stability, but many remain in fear and many continue to leave the country.